Hi, my wonderful fifth graders. Welcome to my class. I am so happy to see you today. We've got a wonderful lesson in science today, but before we start with our lesson, I want to go over the rituals and routines for Google Meet. And so remember, Google Meet is where we go to have our live classes where I teach you and you can ask me questions. Okay? So our rituals and routines are things that we do to make sure that our class is orderly and that we have teaching and learning without distractions. Google Meet expectations. These are all our Google Meet expectations, and I'm going to go over them one at a time for you. The first one is to be on time. So class starts at 8:30 in the morning. Actually, the school day starts at 8:30 in the morning. And so you must make sure that you are online by or before 8:30. Me personally, I would be on just a few minutes early so that you can make sure that you're not late. And when you log in, I'll already be there because I want to see your wonderful face and I'm going to welcome you. Next, dress appropriately. So you can see these two avatars of mine and you can tell which one is ready to learn and which one is not ready to learn. So make sure that you are wearing the proper clothes, that we're not wearing pajamas, no hats, no bonnets, no scarves, nothing that would distract me, you, or any of your classmates. Next, have your computer charged and only on school websites. I charge mine every night right before I go to school, but right before I go to bed. So when I wake up, it'll already be charged and I'll be ready for the school day. And next, let's only be on school websites, and all of your teachers will let you know which sites are appropriate for you to be on. Next, when you log into the virtual classroom, make sure you mute your mic and have your camera on so that I can see your face. Next, have a quiet place to work and check your video surroundings. And let me just say, each person is going to have their own special quiet place to work. Some students might work at their kitchen table, their dining room table. Some might work in their room. They might have a desk in their room or a quiet corner. There's lots of different places that you might like to work doing your schoolwork during the day. Also, check your video surroundings. So my video surroundings, I look at what I'm recording. And if there's anything that's behind me that could be a distraction, I will make sure that that's not in the video. So if it's a distraction, I might have to find somewhere else to sit to record my videos. So I want you to make sure that you do the same thing. All right, so next, raise your hand. When we're in our regular class, we have to raise our hand. And so in a virtual class, the exact same thing. You raise your hand, you wait for Miss McCary or any of your other teachers to acknowledge you. Then you can unmute your mic, you can give your comment, your question, and then we can move on with class. Oh, and you have to make sure that you press mute again once you're finished asking your question. All right, so what's next? Focus on the person presenting or speaking. So right now I'm presenting and I'm speaking. So I want to make sure that you're focused because if I'm looking over here and I'm looking to see what's going on over there, I'm not focusing on a person who's presenting or speaking. So make sure we focus because us teachers, we have something very important to tell you to help you learn. All right. Comments in the chat should be on topic and addressed to the teacher only. So we can't send messages to our friends. And if in science, if we're talking about cells, you can't send me messages about nutmeg. And on that topic, nutmeg's in the classroom right now. And guess what? I let him out so he could run around. And he's getting used to his new classroom. And I think he likes it. All right, participate. I want you to make sure that you participate. You can ask questions. I will answer your questions. It helps the class to be more fun. It helps it to be more engaging. It helps you to learn more. And it helps the day go by faster. It helps the class go by faster. And you'll be like, Miss McCary, is it time to go already? I was like, yes, because you participate. So let's make sure we participate, okay? All right, so we are finished with our rituals and routines. I need to get Kleenex. Our rituals and routines. And next, we are going to start with Unit 1, Cells and Microorganisms. I'm really excited about this. All right, so our phenomena. Some things, living and non-living, are too small to be seen with the unaided eye. And so my avatar has one of these, just like I do. And so I wonder, what is this? And why would we need this? Well, we'll see. Let's just see. All right. Have you ever wanted to be a superhero? Well, today we're going to be a superhero, but we're going to be the kind of superheroes that can see items down to the very, 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 very smallest part. Yes. And how are we going to do that? I'm going to show you these special images. And remember, images are pictures. And while you are looking at these pictures, I want you to think about what do you think they are? What are they? Okay? So, magnified images. Can you guess what the image is? So they are magnified or enlarged. So let's see. Here's the first one. All right. What do you think this is? Okay. Now, I'll give you a little hint because it's something that is very common. Most everybody has either had it or seen it. What do you think it is? Okay, get your answer in your head, and I want you to make sure that you remember it because later on in the lesson progression, I'm going to tell you what they are, and I want to see how many of my wonderful smart students got it right. All right, here's the second image. What do we think this is? This looks pretty neat. I see all these little small parts because it's been enlarged, magnified. What do we think this is? Okay, so you got your answer? Let's move to the next one. All right, now this is another very common material. And guess what? It's something that we use at school. But I can't tell you anymore. I want you to think, what do you think this item is? Get your answer in your head. We're going to move on to the the last item. Yes, this is the last item. Now, this is something that we definitely use every single day. And let's see. I think everybody uses this except for teeny tiny babies, and you use it every day. It's very, very important. What do you think it is? All right, you got your answer? Let's move right along. So next we're going over our PBO, which is our performance-based objective. SWBAT, students, we're talking about you. You will be able to gather evidence using microscopes to compare and contrast plant and animal cells in order to develop a model and label the parts of each cell and differentiate between the structures of plant and animal cells. So now we are going to annotate some of these words that you might not know, so students will be able to gather evidence. What is gather? Gather is to collect. Evidence. Data that supports a claim. Remember, data is information and a claim is the answer to that scientific question. So you're going to be collecting this information that supports a claim. How are you going to do this? You're going to use microscopes to compare and contrast. Well, what is compare? Compare is to note similarities. How are they the same or how are they almost the same? You're going to note them. You can note them here and you can note them by writing them down. Now, in Ms. McCary's class, we're going to note them both ways. How do we compare and contrast? Note the differences. How are they dissimilar? How are they different or mostly different? So we are going to gather evidence using microscopes to compare and contrast plant and animal cells in order to develop a model and label. To label is a word or phrase to describe something. So we're going to develop a model and label the parts of each cell. What cells? We're talking about our plant and animal cells. Those are the items that we're going to be labeling. So we're going to develop a model and label the parts of each cell and differentiate. I like that word. Differentiate. That means to recognize what makes something different. We're going to differentiate between let me move this out of the way. We are going to differentiate between the structures of plant and animal cell. So we're going to compare and contrast plant and animal cells, and then we're going to label the parts of plant cells, label the parts of animal cells, and then we're going to recognize, we're going to differentiate how they're different, how the different structures of plants and animal cells are different. All right. Engage. So remember, in science, we follow the 5E process, and the first process is called engage. So we're starting our engage. Part 1, do you think that living organisms have smaller parts that you cannot see without help? Maybe this kind of help. We'll see. All right. So how many parts make a book? So I brought this book, Ada Twist Scientist, and if you look in my virtual classroom, this book is actually on the shelf. So how many parts make up a book? So maybe the front cover, okay. We have the back cover, we have the spine, and if you open it up, okay, so we have pages. So those are parts of the book. But is that all? Well, what is the cover made out of? I mean, and this one's kind of special. And I like this because guess what? This cover, it has a cover over the cover of the book. So there's a different part. That's extra. Well, what's on the pages? So if we open the book, what's on the pages? So I see, let's see. I see a girl and a boy. I see a tree. I see all types of things. I see a clock. I see over here. Let's see. I see words. I see all kinds of stuff. So that's another part of the book. What are the parts in that material? So these materials, this paper is made out of trees, which are plants. This is ink. There's ink. There's different color ink. There's black ink for the words. I see brown ink and red ink and blue ink and all types of colored ink in here. So these are also different parts of the book. What are the words made from? The words are made from letters, and the letters are made from ink. And what's the ink made of? Guess what? That's something I probably need to look up because I'm not exactly sure what ink is made of. So there are so many parts of the book down to the smallest piece. And guess what? If you look really, really, really closely, sometimes you can see a little bit of glue or something right here that helps to hold the pages together. That's another really small part. Okay? Now, it's your turn. And so for this part, you are going to need a pencil and a sheet of paper. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to go ahead and open your notebook or to get your paper, which should be right by you on your desk or wherever you're working. And while you're doing that, I'm going to read this. It says, now it's your turn. On your own, so on your own paper right now, I want you to choose one of the items below and record the parts that it's made out of and save your list for later. So you can't lose this paper because it's going to be important. So the item you can choose sandwich, house, school, kitchen, computer, car, bicycle, or closet. Choose any one of those, write that one item on the top of your paper. And then underneath it, I want you to write all the different parts. I mean, you might have 15, 20, you might have a lot of different parts. Now, remember when we talked about the book, it wasn't just the front cover and the back cover and the pages and the spine, but we talked about all of the items that were on the pages, the ink, the paper that were made out of trees, there, all of the words and pictures. So I want you to think of each part down to the very smallest piece. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes. And so what you're going to do, you're going to write down as many as you can. The first thing that pops into your mind that's a part of whatever you chose, I want you to write it down. And so I am going to start the 2-minute timer. Ready, set, and ready, set, go. I know you should be writing. You should be writing. Which one did you choose? I like all of these. I think they're all great. All right, so you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to write. Keep writing. I know you have some amazing things on your list. Think of the big things and think of the small parts. Keep going. You have 1 minute remaining. Let's keep writing our list. I know you have some pretty awesome things on your list. Keep going. Keep writing. Keep writing. 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Keep going. All right, so we need to go ahead and put down our last few things because we have exactly 10 seconds left. All right, so let's put our pencils down. And so I know you have some awesome things on your list. So let's say, for instance, you chose sandwich. You might have your bread. I don't know what kind, you have to decide what type of sandwich. Are you going to have a sandwich that has lettuce, tomatoes, and onions, and ham and cheese? Or are you going to have like peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It all depends. And you can put down that there's bread, there's crust on the bread. What is the bread made out of? There's just all types of things that you can put on your list. So now that we've stopped, look at your list. So take just a few seconds and look at your list, all of those things you have on your list. Can you think of any more parts? That you can add? So not right at this second, but later, I want you to ask a friend or a relative, which could be your parents, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, any of those people that are in your house. Ask them if they can help you think of some more, because remember, you're not going to throw away that list because you're definitely going to need it for later. Okay? All right. So next, I have a special treat for you. And so this is a video. This is Dr. Bergoza, and she is going to talk to you about a tool that is very important when we are studying cells and microorganisms. And so this is Engage Part 2. Let's make sure we are listening because she has some very, very, very important things to say. All right, Dr. Bergoza, we are all listening. Let's hear what you have to say.
Hi, fifth graders. It's Dr. Bergoza again. We have been talking about magnifying objects in an effort to learn about cells. Now, we haven't started talking about cells yet because we're getting through the activities that will help us understand small parts of everyday items. So today, I want to introduce a tool to you that I think will help us really understand the smaller parts of everyday objects. Many of you have seen this tool that looks like this. Now this tool, do you know what it is? Some of you might have said a magnifying glass, and others might have said a hand lens. And guess what? You are both 100% right. But in science, we are going to call this a hand lens. I also have a hand lens that looks like this, so that you'll know that they come in different shapes and sizes. And many of us who have gotten older in years use these hand lenses to help us see things when they're really small and it's hard for us to see because our eyes get weaker as we grow older. So these are both tools that we use to magnify objects, and in science we call them a hand lens. You may also see them called a magnifying glass, and both are correct. So now that you've seen the tool that we're going to use, I want you to think about the items that you talked about in the last part of our Engage session. You might have chosen the kitchen, or you might have chosen a closet, or you might have chosen a bicycle. And you talked about all the parts of the bicycle. Now I want you to think about, are there any parts of that bicycle, or that kitchen, or that closet that I couldn't see when I was just looking at them with my regular old eyes? You might be surprised. So today we're going to do a little activity to help us see things a little more clear. And by that I mean to help us see the tiny parts that make things up. Now, if I'm looking at everyday objects, I might want to see what they're made of. I have a couple of objects here that I have been looking at to see, are there parts that I can't see when I just look at them with my unaided eye? Notice I said unaided. My eyes are actually always aided because I have poor vision, so I have glasses that help me see. But the unaided eye for those of us without glasses and those of us with glasses is your eye all by itself. Okay? That's what the unaided eye means. My eyes are always aided with my glasses, but my vision with my glasses is similar to the vision that other people have without glasses. So when I look at something with the unaided eye, I'm still using my glasses, okay? Some of the things I looked at was, we girls, we all like our hair clips, right? So I have this hair clip, and when I just look at it, it looks like it has a couple different colors in it. But if I use my magnifying glass to look at it, I can see those colors a little more clearly. And I can even see some designs in those colors, can't I? When I just hold this up, I know there's something here to hold the clip together, but I might not be sure exactly what that something is. When I hold the magnifying glass in front of it, I can see that there's a little coiled wire that looks like it holds the two parts together. So that is what I'm talking about by some smaller parts. Today, I want us to take a look at our shirts. Now, some of you might not have a hand lens at home, and that's okay. So I'm going to look at my shirt and let you see what I see through the camera. Thankfully, my shirt has two parts, so I'm going to lay one of the parts up on the desk, and I'm going to move the camera so that all you see is the shirt. Then I'm going to put the magnifying glass over it so that you can see the shirt with the tool that magnifies it, okay?
Oh, okay.
So let's say, let me move a couple of our examples out of the way, and I'm going to take the one part of my shirt and put it up on the counter so that you can see it. And then I'm going to move the camera so that you can see the part of my shirt that I want you to see. Okay, now you see this part of my shirt. You can see that it has different colors and that it's the shape of a triangle about. But when I use my magnifying glass, I'm going to try to get it so that you can see too. So I might have to tilt it a little bit. When I use my magnifying glass, do you see the threads that hold the shirt together? I see the threads that hold the shirt together. And when I move forward, you might even see, there it is, you might even see that there's a loose thread on my shirt. I didn't see that before I used the magnifying glass or the hand lens, did you? I didn't. But that may help you see that there are smaller parts in things. If you have a hand lens, you can try that with your shirt at home. If you don't, you can do something else. And that something else is, if you have a cell phone, you may use your cell phone, and I will show you how. You may also borrow an adult's cell phone, but get their permission first. So I'm going to show you how to turn your cell phone into a magnifying glass or hand lens. And in this case, it's not truly a hand lens, it's a magnifying tool, but it will show you what an object looks like magnified. So I'm going to use my phone, and I'm going to open up my phone. And on my phone, I'm going to try to tilt it so you can see it without the glare on it. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. That's a little better. And then I'm going to touch the camera icon so that I open the camera. And you can see that the camera is taking a picture of my screen right now. So if we want to magnify that like the hand lens would, all we have to do is take our two fingers and spread them out. So now, did you see me get bigger and bigger and almost disappear? So I don't want to get bigger and bigger. So I'm going to make it as big as I can. Okay? And now, all you can really see is my hair and the side of my shoulder, but you can see my hair pretty up close, right? And that is my hair from the computer screen. So if I just put my hair out, now you can see the different strands of my hair, can't you? You can see the different strands. So we're magnifying my hair at this moment to really show it in detail. You can really see the gray in there. So now there's a cloth that I use on a regular basis, and I use it to clean my iPad or my computer screen or my watch or my glasses, because if you wear glasses, you know, like I do, that they get blurry all the time. So I use this cloth a lot. And now I'm going to show you this cloth, and I'm going to show it to you magnified. I'm going to turn the light away a little bit so that you can see this cloth really well, because the light gives it a glare, and we don't want a glare on our cloth. So this is our cloth. Okay? Now, I'm going to look at it through the hand lens. I like to use the big one because I'm a little bit older and I need a little more help than you do. So I'm going to look at it through the hand lens, and I'm going to see what I can see. And you at home probably can't see as well as I can what I can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my phone to show you what I see. And just like I did with my shirt, I'm going to put it on the desk, and I'm going to change the camera around for you so you can see it a little bit better, okay? So first I'll do it with the magnifying glass so you can see that, and then I'll do it with the camera so you can really get a magnified picture of that cloth. And then you can talk about this with your friends or adults. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure I just get the cloth here. Okay, so we can see the cloth.
Mm-hmm.
We can see my desk. So now, looking at the cloth, do you see any changes there? It might be easier to see with the camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're looking at video. So if I put my camera up to it, and then I can show you my camera on the screen. On just a second and let it focus. I'll lift it a little bit. Do you see that? Do you see the smaller parts within the cloth?
Mm-hmm.
That's at a magnification of 10 times. So I've magnified my cloth by 10 times. Can you imagine what it would look like if I magnified it by 100?
Whoa.
Think about that. Now that we've looked at some magnified objects, I want you to look at the assignment in your Google Classroom. I want you to think about the parts that you've seen today and over the last videos. I want you to think about the
Okay, guys. So I am so glad that you took the time to focus on the presenter. And just thank you, Dr. Bergosa, for such an awesome video about how you can use tools like, remember what this is called? A hand lens. Yes. And then you can use your cell phone camera as a magnifying tool so that you can see the small parts of everyday items. And so at the end of her video, she was talking about an assignment. And so I put the assignment up here, and this assignment is also listed in Google Classroom for you to complete. And remember when I told you that list that we did in Engage Part 1, that once you made your list, don't lose it? Well, this is the reason why I didn't want you to lose it. It's because you are going to have to use it to complete this activity on Google Classroom. So let's just go over it so when you start doing it, you'll definitely know what you're doing. So it says engage many small parts. Directions: choose one item from the list below. Write or type your item in the table as listed and list as many parts that you can make up as you can. So we're not going to write, we're going to type. So we're going to write down those lists. How many parts? How many parts is it made out of? And again, these are the same items: sandwich, house, school, kitchen, computer, car, bicycle, or closet. Remember, you chose one. You can still use the one you chose, or if you're like, you know what, I want to choose another one, you can choose another one. So in this box right here, you will write your item. So you will write sandwich or house. Only one item goes in here, the item you chose. And right here, parts of my item. You are going to list those parts. Now, you may have to make the words a little bit smaller so that you can list all of your parts, because you might have 15 or 20 parts to your item that you might want to put in there, or you might have 10 parts. So you're going to list your parts in this box. Now, these questions at the bottom, yes, you do need to answer them. It says, what are some other things that have parts which are too small to be seen without magnification? Magnification means to enlarge or to make it bigger. So what are some other items that have parts that are too small? So you are going to list things, not just one. You are going to list things, multiple things in this space right here. Number 2, it says, think about plants and animals. What are the parts that make up plants and animals. So over here, you are going to list different parts that make up plants. What are the parts of plants? And then over here, you're going to list what are the parts of animals, because we're going to see, are plants and animals, are those parts different? Are they the same? Just list your parts. So on number 2, you're listing the parts of plants and animals. And then number 3, it says, do plants and animals have any parts that are too small for us to see without magnification? So are there any parts in a plant that you can't look? Oh, you know what? Let me get my aloe vera plant. So as we are writing down the characteristics of plants, now we're not just talking about this plant, but we're talking about any plant. But are there any parts of this aloe vera plant that are too small to see without magnification? So I can, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I just want you to think about that. You're going to type your items in the blank. And so that ends our first part. So that's our engage of Unit 1, Lesson Progression 1. So thank you for staying so attentive. I am so happy that you are in my class. I want you to make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I look forward to seeing you in our next class. Have a wonderful day.